Most bourbons are aged once.
Oh.
This. Typical Americans, got to do it twice.
Okay.
This thing's aged twice, so we'll have a little look into that while we try a bit of Woodford Reserve Double Oak.
I like the sound of this one already.
How's that for a bottle? Look at that bottle. Yeah, that's schmick. All right, so Woodford Reserve, Woodford County, obviously in Kentucky. We're talking bourbons again. These guys have been around for a while. 1812. The site was established. I'm not really sure what they were producing at that time. Owned by the same people that own Jack Daniels.
Okay.
So there's a bit of conglomerates in there. But this is nice to pour from. But what Woodford is known for is it's just intense flavour. Typical American style. Go big, go home.
Big or go home, yeah.
It's bold, it's rich. So there's a few ways that they sort of tackle this. Straight off the bat, as we know with bourbons, it's got to be at least 51% corn mash. But this is 72%, so it's quite bold there. 10% malted barley. But they've got like an 18% rye content. As I said, like a lot of bourbons do have rye, but that's one of the higher end.
Okay.
Higher end. I'm thinking because of that, they've done that because it gives a bit of a spice. But I'm thinking it's going to help sort of cut through the sweetness. Right. Because they've really gone bold with everything else. They just need something just to cut through a little bit. So, and one rare thing these guys do is they still distill in copper pot stills. So with American stuff, it's usually more mass production. So column stills are a lot faster, a bigger, higher production. Whereas these guys stuck with their copper, just to keep intense flavors involved in that, and with that mash bill and everything else. And then they move on to the barrels, which is what's I'm excited to see about this. So.
Isn't it still the same barrel every?
Yes, so virgin oak barrel.
You're
learning.
Yes.
You're learning, right? They do that, so they could just sell it from there. They've done their barreling process in the virgin oak. Yeah. But instead, they take it out and put it into a second barrel.
Okay.
And this is where they're really pumping some flavors, right? So, with this second barrel, it is heavily toasted, lightly charred.
Okay.
Now that's confusing.
That is confusing. How do you I understand double charring the barrels.
Yeah, yep.
They burn them on the inside the second time.
Yep.
Toasting.
So toasting is basically sticking this wood in an oven, essentially, and heating it up. And so what that's doing is it's breaking down these wood compounds. It's releasing vanillin. Vanillin. So that's lignin in the timber. The once it breaks down, it produces a big vanilla flavor. So that in bourbons especially is where you're getting that vanilla flavor from. There's no vanilla beans put in there or anything silly like that. It's just from that wood being heated up and broken down. Very interesting. Yeah.
And is that a virgin oak barrel?
Yes.
In the same manner. So they've essentially we've got this amount of whiskey. Now we've got 2 barrels for it. We're going to toast one of them, and we're going to.
Well, yeah, they do their standard. I'm not sure exactly what the first one is. It's probably just a charred oak barrel. The second one, they heavily toast the wood first, lightly char it. That charring process will give it, kind of filters it and gives it a bit of backbone and a couple of other flavors as well. So being Kentucky as well, we spoke about this before, hot, cold climates, it's really soaking into that wood, pushing back into the barrel. So I'm expecting some big flavors here. So
sounds good so far.
Yeah.
Well, it smells nice.
Oh, well. Now that's Flavor Town. That is big American flavour right there.
That's a lot of flavour.
There is so much wood in that. That rye comes through a lot, but it needs to be there.
There's still a bit of, I don't know, maybe I'm getting this wrong, but a bit of chocolatey taste to it, a bit of sweet caramel
you're onto it.
Taste to it.
That's right. Yeah, your caramels, vanilla, a bit chocolatey.
Nice.
Very desserty, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That rye is intense.
Yeah. Definitely kicks in at the back end as well.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be there. So,
but it feels richer, and in terms of in your mouth, it some of them go down and it's quite light and thin. That feels very full and rich.
Yes. Spot on. Yeah. Look at this, you're learning.
Student has become the man. Swap seats.
Yeah, you start buying the whiskey. No,
okay, I'll stay here.
No, yeah, full-bodied and rich is the perfect description for that. That is just full caramel, oaky.
Oh yeah.
Rye and vanilla, all over.
It's a full flavour, but it's not off-putting. It's not too much. It's not burning so much. Like there's a little bit of a burn in the back of the throat.
Yep. And that aftertaste is sort of getting like that charred sort of flavour there, like you know how barbecue kind of.
Now, not like the barbecues my wife does.
That's a charred, not burnt, right?
Nah.
But again, with a lot of bourbons, so we swapped out for these short glasses tonight, those whiskey glasses.
Yeah.
Because they tend to like it on the rocks.
Okay.
So I thought we might try that out. Just to see, you know, when in Rome. Look at that.
That's going to take a minute.
Settle a little bit, yeah. With Woodford, they're chasing flavours and they're not, I mean, they've got a big name.
Yeah.
They've been around for a long time, but they're not just taking those steps to be a mass production.
Yeah.
They're taking the steps to just withhold flavour.
Yeah.
As I said, through the stills, the mash, the double barreling, all these sorts of things. They're just chasing flavours. So they're really working towards a craft as opposed to a mass production.
Right.
And that definitely comes through.
Well, they're obviously chasing a specific flavour as well. If they're sticking with their copper pots and they've got 2 specific types of barrels that they're running it through.
Yeah.
They're aiming at something specific.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and see that's what, especially with bourbons, obviously, you don't have much variety in your barrel choices. You've got one type of bloody barrel.
Yeah.
That's it. So they found a way around that by introducing something else that still keeps it legally a bourbon.
Yeah.
But it's just something a bit different, which is going to be something stand out that no one else does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is actually not a bad idea. If you want to differentiate yourself in that market.
100%, yeah.
It's a good idea. Oh yeah, that's starting to get through it there. The temperature cooling down.
Yeah, it really cuts it.
Yeah.
Makes it a lot softer.
That's right.
But it brings the rye forward. So I think if you do enjoy a rye, but you know, I mean, ryes are quite full on.
Yeah, they're a bit different.
Yeah, but if you do like that rye flavour, this is a perfect one.
Yeah, this is pretty good, all right.
It is definitely heavy on that rye, but everything else that's with it is sweet and rich and just holds that rye from being overpowering and too spicy.
Yeah. I think between the two now, obviously I've only had one sip there, but I think between the two, I think neat I preferred.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a bolder flavour.
Yeah,
more sweet. That, like you said, that's cut it. That's changed it a little bit. But I think it was actually better there. Which is the opposite. Sometimes we find that with the ice, it tastes a bit better.
We'll see. Again, I love my big bold flavours, but I think I like it better neat. But to sit on a couple of glasses, I think sitting it on the rocks, I think that just makes it a bit more of a sessionable drink.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, let's experiment.
Got a bit left in the bottle.
Gets through a half an hour.
So price-wise, again, you're pushing over $100 for that. But but again, that's one of their sort of different releases than than their standard. So I think for me, I'm not a huge bourbon fan. That's probably one of my more favourite ones, to be honest. If it wasn't so rye heavy, I would give that such a huge score. Yeah, I think that's just a bit. It's a bit too much though. You've got to like rye to like that.
So does that mean when we go for a rye, you're going to be given some pretty low scores, do you reckon?
Well, no, see, I don't mind a rye, but it's a time and place kind of thing. So I'd love to know, I love the flavours in that, but it is getting a little overpowered by that rye.
Right.
So just tone that down a little bit, I think it'd be an absolute pearler.
I wonder could we find one that was maybe instead of 18%, maybe 10% rye?
Well, I'd love to see what that'd be like. Yeah. But other than that, again, it needs to be there because it needs to cut through that richness.
Yeah.
So I'd probably just give that a 3.
3?
Yeah.
3 glasses out of 5?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go slightly higher on the score myself. Without ice, I'm definitely gonna give it at least a 3.5, possibly a 4. because I really quite enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but definitely lower with the ice, in my opinion. So,
well, here you go.
yeah. Well, you know, ask me again in half an hour, you know.
All right, so that is Woodford Reserve, and let us know in the comments too. Like, do you prefer these big, bold, heavy hitter kind of whiskies, or do you like something that's lighter and more sessionable? We'd love to hear what everybody else out there thinks.
That's right.
So we know which direction to take next.
Absolutely. And before you click that subscribe button, or maybe after it, just have a little think in your head. If there's another whiskey you'd like us to review, throw it in the comments.
Because we're taking no.
Challenge accepted. Pick one he will say no to.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Like and subscribe and follow the channel.
Absolutely.
And check out our other whiskey reviews.
Mm-hmm. And we'll see you again.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Let's try that again.
You usually do that end bit.
I do, don't I? Look at that.
Fuck. Prepared my
Bollocks. It's got a good blooper too.